heels.
Yeah, great. So we already almost started, and I think we'll kick off our today's session, Morning Coffee with a CEO. I got my coffee right. Peter and George, do you have yours? Then that's what we need. I welcome our regional president, Ait Bergman, Kaspars Kaviskis, and Kestutis Bogdanovicius. And I also welcome very much Radostin Rusa from Lidl, and who's also one of our board members here. And we have about like 70 registered participants, so we're a very big crowd, today, and we're very happy to welcome somebody who is relatively new to the region, started arriving in January this year, and he is one of the new top managers in the financial sector, namely the CEO of the Luminor group since beginning of this year. He has had a impressive career, I can tell you. Born and raised in Austria, studied as a lawyer and later on also as a law lecturer and assistant professor, but has focused also and worked around the digitalization pretty much, and has a very broad cover in the financial sector, from insurance to housing, retail banking, corporate banking, international expansions, mergers and acquisitions. And so he has been called by Euromoney one of the hard hitters of Central Eastern Europe. I think that is a compliment. So welcome to Tallinn, Peter, welcome to the Baltics. And we are very keen now to learn and to discuss a bit. So obviously there are new players coming onto the yard. And there are, as we all know, after last 5 years, there have been new rules, not always set, but let's say first time really implemented. And I think we will discuss a bit all the situation of the financial sector in the Baltics. We will discuss what are the plans of Luminor and your kind of positioning. And we also have some time for some personal questions so we can get to know you. For those who wonder who's the second head in the video, that's Georg Kaltenbrunner. He is a German and comes from another Nordic country, Sweden, before professionally, and serves now as a risk officer on the board of Luminor. So what we'll do is, that was my already 2 minutes intro, and now we're gonna throw the ball to Peter. And he will give us like a 10-15 minutes overview, strategy as a CEO, and how he views the Baltic banking sector. And then I will have the honor to have some interaction with Peter. And then also you have the opportunity to ask some of the questions. So please write them in the Q&A, and then we will try to move you to the stage, and so you can ask the questions that are really important. And let's make it concrete, let's make it open, let's make it frank, let's talk business, let's talk problems, let's not waste time with too much politeness, and let's try to move ahead, and solve some problems if we can, because that would be great. So Peter, having said that, the ball is yours.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you very much for inviting me and giving me and Georg the opportunity to talk a little bit about Luminor. I think most of you will know that Luminor is, so to say, the child of 6 different banks in the past. And so Luminor was running through a quite intensive transformation process over the last 2 years. I'm also relatively sure that you are aware a lot of banks throughout Europe have IT legacy issues, so merging 6 different local heroes is quite an effort. But we are very happy that we finished this situation end of last year, and now we are entering a phase where we are here to grow. What does that mean in reality? I think the most important topic on the table now is how can Luminor support the pickup of economy after hopefully in some weeks from now, shutdowns are gone all over Europe. I think we see the same situation more or less in each and every country in Europe. Everybody was impacted by a high level of complexity when it comes to the logistics of vaccination. But I think everybody gathered now some experience over the last weeks. And my personal point of view is that so we succeeded all over Europe to pick up with vaccinations. So mid of last week. And I'm living here in Tallinn, which is a great place to live actually. You know, there were these big centers opened up last week. At the beginning, it was also a bumpy road, and now it's getting much better. So I hope that in 6, maximum 7 weeks from now, we are all in much better shape when it comes to COVID-19. And then I think it's important, and whatever we could deliver, we are here to support the pickup. I think we will be confronted with a situation that equity ratios for corporate clients will be lower than before the COVID situation, which is quite normal, because it would be a surprise if most of the companies had record years when it comes to net profit. So everybody was taking care about his liquidity situation, which is more than understandable. There was a lot of state measurements to support clients, partially very effective, partially not very effective. I think our clients did a fantastic job in adopting to the situation. When you think 12 months before, nobody knew what's going on. Nobody was clear about the impacts of COVID. Now we are from an economic point of view in a much better situation because we know there is light at the end of the tunnel. All over Europe, home office was implemented quite fast. So I think to be very concrete here, we on the banking industry side have to accept that equity ratios will be lower, and we will have to have the willingness to lend. And I had some discussions with journalists over the last 3-4 weeks because there is, so to say, a discussion: are banks really willing to lend? And banks are more than willing to lend. And that's not only true for Luminor. I think it's very true for all my friendly competitors here. You know that the European Central Bank implemented a lot of actions that banks are maybe even forced to lend, because the whole banking industry is completely over liquid at the moment, and especially when it comes to the Baltic countries. I think it's interesting to see that the saving rates in the Baltics in the fourth quarter last year increased dramatically. The Baltic countries were front running all over Europe. So leading to a situation that banks are flooded with liquidity. So being or sitting, so to say, in a bank, you can now decide, put the over liquidity to European Central Bank, paying minus 55 basis points, or you put it to your client. And of course, we love to put it to our clients. And I think we are now obliged to support our clients. And as you all know, it's very much about mood. And I think when it comes to the Baltic region, what I can tell you from an still, if I rightly mentioned, newcomer, not to say outside perspective, what these countries achieved over the last 25 years is amazing. You have created an environment which is very, very much business oriented. You have a tax system which is outstanding good. You have a level of digitalization which is front running all over Europe. And I have to say, I'm also impressed by the level of the political discussion here. I had the pleasure to hold a very short speech. It is founder, this Employers Council. 3 weeks ago, and there was the president of Estonia there, and I think he is a very smart mind. I mean, who am I to judge it? Yeah? But coming from another country where maybe the level of political discussions is from time to time not so advanced, I'm deeply impressed how it's going here. Yeah? Having said that, maybe 2 or 3 sentences to the strategy of Luminor, beside the fact, which is quite obvious, that we are here to support our clients when it comes to COVID. We are highly interested to develop capital markets here. We are 60% Blackstone owned, so, and Blackstone being the biggest private equity fund on this planet, I think there is a kind of relatively high level of credibility that we are interested in capital markets. We succeeded to come up with the first commercial paper program 3 weeks ago. Luminor was issuing the first covered bond in this region. We are used to issue senior bonds. Georg and I, we increased the limits for corporate bonds that we are able to offer a secondary market when it comes to corporate bonds, because we are strongly convinced this is the right thing for this region to take the next step when it comes to capital markets. And I think you are also quite aware that when it comes to European banking, you have still in the corporate area 75% of capital or loans guaranteed by banks and only 25 granted by capital markets. In the United States, it's vice versa. So banking industry will lose, so to say, the power to lend, but will decrease, so to say, when it comes to balance sheets. But I think that's absolutely the right way to do, because being a corporate client, I would be heavily interested in having the opportunity for different sources of funding. So we are definitely interested in corporate lending. This bank was very successful when it comes to large corps in this region. We took the decision also to be very interested in SMEs, because I think this region should have an advantage of Luminor being here in this region, and so to say, SMEs is from our perspective the most important part when it comes to economy, because it's the most stable part and the most sustainable part. Another topic we would like to implement, hopefully, maybe we can take the first action second half of this year, is asset management. So the major interest here when it comes to asset management is real estate, which is absolutely fine, because I think the real estate situation in these countries is a very healthy one. You see it in the increase when it comes to mortgage business. There is a huge demand. And we had internally yesterday a discussion how we see the market situation, and the only thing where we think that could be a limitation is the possibility to buy real estate here end of the year. A lot of developments going on, but given the strong demand, this could be a kind of shortage when it comes to end of 2021. And I'm strongly convinced that asset management should be offered here in a very transparent and not to say cheap would be the wrong word, but on affordable levels, which would make absolutely sense. And we started a discussion together with the biggest asset manager of this universe. And so, as mentioned, I hope that we come up with the first actions in the second half of the year. When it comes to our capability to grow, we are in very good shape. We have a very strong balance sheet. As mentioned before, we are even over liquid, and we have 1.6 billion capital. And we have been the biggest foreign investment here. Blackstone was willing to invest above 1 billion here, and I think that's a strong signal to the region that so to say, externals are very much believing in the success in the upcoming years in this region. So I think that's now enough talking about Luminor. I would be much more interested in your questions.
Yeah, thanks. And I start with one of our guests here, participants from Bogdan. Hi, Peter. Welcome in the Baltics. What's your first impression about the region? What are the similarities and differences between Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia? And I mean, of course, it's a bit difficult because traveling was a bit limited, but maybe you have some first impressions.
Yeah, of course. What really took me by surprise, I mean, before I came, I thought the Baltics are so close to each other. So this is kind of, it's not one nation, that's clear, but I think that's a very, very clear situation that you have the same culture everywhere. And after 2 weeks, I already realized there are huge differences. So I mean, the most experience, of course, I have in Estonia. This is a very, very Nordic country. I spent my last 25 years in banking in Central and Eastern Europe, Czech Republic, Slovakia, Hungary, countries like this. And I thought, we'll be relatively similar here. Nope, completely different. We are running a pan-Baltic bank. So we are the only banking group here who has one bank in 3 countries. This is a competitive advantage when you see some of our competitors now are building up relatively complex holding structures. And I was also a board member in a holding for many years. So when you're a board member of a holding, you always have to explain why you are here for. So that's a little bit tricky, and we are happy that we have this kind of setup. But on the other hand, I think it's very fair to say that we have to be very aware about the fact that cultures are very different, and we should not overdo it when it comes to this pan-Baltic topic. So I think the difference between cultures is the most surprising thing to me.
I had a similar experience. I can only say, yeah, I can share that experience. You mentioned you are the only one bank in the Baltic. Is that really going to be so? Are we gonna have one like key account manager, even if I have like Robert Bosch 3 countries to manage here and one account for all, or will it be, or how far are you in reality with that? Yeah,
I mean, this was of course the original idea. So one client, one account manager. But I have to say we are flexible. What I already learned over the last 3 months, there are client expectations which are different, of course. And there are clients who have their CEOs in their local in their countries. And these CEOs are expecting, so to say, a local treatment. And I'm absolutely willing to follow that because it's us following our clients and not vice versa. I'm very clear when it comes to banking.
Yeah, we are very happy with a cooperation we already could establish with Luminor, and I welcome Luminor as a member, as an elite member of our premium members family, and I'm very thankful for that, and I think our cooperation will work towards that to get the clients closer, and the clients' needs also closer to your business. Allow me a personal question. When the headhunter called or you had your job interview, and I'm sure they answered you why you want to do that, and I mean why you want to come from Vienna, where you were CEO of one of the bigger banks, compared to here. What was it that kind of triggered your motivation?
Yeah, I mean, you rightly mentioned this is the 3rd employer in my life. The first employer was Vienna, University of Vienna. Second one was Erste Group, and Luminor is now my 3rd employer. I'm 52, and when I started in Erste Group 25 years ago, it was a relatively boring, small saving bank in Vienna. And I had the pleasure to be part of a team building it up in a stock-listed company with a balance sheet of roughly 250 billion, operating in 7 countries. And I think when it comes to European banking, you are aware about the situation that there is a kind of consolidation going on, because in reality we have too many banks in Europe. And when you compare it to the United States, US banking is in much better shape than European banking. There are not too many mergers happening, although they would be necessary. I mean, look at Germany. You have Deutsche Bank, Commerzbank. It's quite a mess. The reason for that is that there is not enough capital when it comes to European banking, and there US private equity kicks in. And they see the opportunity when it comes to European banking. And this is something where I think this is very inspiring. To be in charge of a bank which is willing to grow is an outstanding good situation. A lot of banks are not able to grow because they have capital limitations. We as Luminor, we have a capital ratio above 20%. So we can grow here the next 10, 15, 20 years without having the need for any kind of capital increase. And this is something I'm very much coming from this build up and let's grow stuff. This is what keeps me up at night, and therefore I'm really very happy to be here.
Yeah, we have a question from the auditorium, from Lithuania, actually, from the Economic Council of the German Embassy, and he has heard from several interlocutors that SMEs have sometimes problems to get quick and flexible access to credit lines when they really need it. I think that also has to do with a bit of the bureaucracy or over bureaucracy in the new money laundering rules, or maybe this what you mentioned as willingness or not willingness to lend. Do you expect some shift in that? Will Luminor have a different approach to that, or how's your view?
Very open. In my impression, I mean, I have not been here, but what I understand and what I see in my balance sheet and what I see in my P&L of last year is there were a lot of actions taken which were related to technology, related to succeed with the merger, and this was priority number one. And I think now it's exactly time to turn around, and the only reason why we exist are our clients. So what I can offer to you is whenever you have any kind of issues when it comes to bureaucracy, or when you have anything where you would like to discuss with me or complain about, I can hand you over you have already my email address. Please share it. And each and everybody who is listening here or is in whatever kind of relationship with your institution, feel free to write me immediately an email, and I promise to come back to you. Georg and myself, I mean, Georg from Germany, me being from Austria, we have a very high interest that we can prove to add value to this region. And we would love to acquire German companies to come to the Baltics and to support companies from the Baltics to go to Germany or Austria. We are both quite a long time in business, so we know quite a lot of people make use out of us. We are more than willing. It's not an obligation. We love to do it. This is fun. And whoever has an issue of not getting a loan, call me.
Yeah, and I mean, you mentioned it between the lines earlier in what you said. Is it correct to say that you discovered the Baltic region as a bit of a gem, a hidden gem in the European countries, which I believe is very much true. Actually, is so underrated, for what the performance here is, and it has to do also with the business culture, with the work ethics, with the understanding of quality. And like the level of education is like top. Estonia #1 in PISA, Germany 7 or 12, and that is, I think, not reflected in the per capita FDI that is going on. So that's also, I think, a good news, and let's work there together to the outside. but and also to really make a fast line of problem solving for insight. Because let's face it, I mean, you can be a super successful businessman with a great product. If you don't have a bank that backs you up and that kind of understands your need, you're fighting uphill, and it's hard to win that.
So let me jump in to be very clear on that. I know we are not perfect. We try to achieve, so to say, customer centricity because it's the only thing we are here for. This will take some time. I'm completely aware about this. But as long as we are still in this kind of turning back to our clients, use this direct line immediately when you are facing any kind of issues with us.
Now some questions about you as a prophet. Yeah, will the interest rate stay as low after COVID?
I think so. I see a different kind of development between the United States and Europe. You know, I mean, also when it comes to vaccination, US is front running. Biden putting 1.9 trillion on the table. So there is the discussion or the perception that this will even have an impact when it comes to inflation. Although the US central bank is trying to talk it down a little bit, and already told that they are willing to accept rising inflation levels for a certain period of time. I think US will be far ahead. Then you have China. They were already far ahead last year, and then it comes to Europe. When it comes to Europe, you have very, very different situations. So I think the northern part of Europe, where we are living here, is also relatively ahead of the curve. We all know when it comes to the southern part of Europe, we are still facing some issues when it comes to public debt. And I think we should not underestimate that we have elections in Germany in autumn. And in reality, Mrs. Merkel was the boss of Europe over the last years. So there will be a change in the mood anyhow. And I'm not completely clear, but who am I to comment on Germany? But I'm not completely clear if Germany will be able to prolong this super important role you had over the last 10 years. Because I think it's also fair to say that Germany is facing some issues when it comes to economy. Very large automotive industry, obviously now getting momentum again. When you look at the share price of Volkswagen, it's amazing since beginning of this year. But I don't see any increase in interest rates when it comes to Europe over the next minimum 3 to 5 years. Because if the European Central Bank would increase interest rates, countries like Italy, Spain, still Greece, would face massive issues.
Maybe directly building on that, this massive flooding of money, and what do you think will it do with the real estate sector? Overheating, the real estate bubble. And I was actually surprised how high the level of prices in Tallinn versus, for example, Berlin was 5 years ago. Okay, Berlin has now caught up, but still, if you compare purchasing power and
this is a very important topic. On the weekends, I'm always walking around in Tallinn since I'm here. And there's a lot of real estate development going on. Personally, I have the impression everything here is built for expats. In a way that you have square. I'm living there in Kent Money Street, and there is beside the US Embassy, there is a new project which is under development right now. You're paying there per square meter between 3,500 and 4,000 euros. which seems to me on the level of being affordable. And when you're a young family living here, I mean, it's not possible. So I think what we are missing here, at least in Tallinn, is a kind of affordable housing. And there are some initiatives going on in Riga, where the city of Riga is building something which absolutely makes sense. And we started already a discussion with politicians here how we could contribute to this situation, because I mean I'm a very big fan of a middle class when it comes to social development. And if you have a middle class, you need this kind of affordable housing when you are a little bit younger, because you have the hunger for to achieve something is one of the most important drivers. And I think the hunger for success in these countries is on a very high level, which is outstanding good. But you have to give young people the possibility to build up something for themselves. So therefore, I think this is something where we should take some actions together.
I have now one question about the sector. Banking is usually very far from, but let's see, agriculture. We still have a relevant sector here, and agronomic distributors, grain trading, fertilizers, but on the other hand, also credits for buying land or consolidation. Will it be getting easier or more difficult?
Yeah, it's funny, we had yesterday the discussion when it comes to our real estate policy here in terms of credit risk management. We are highly interested in, and when I came to Tallinn, per accident, one of the first things I did was reading your magazine. And your first quarter magazine had a special report about the agricultural situation here when it comes to organic food. And the level of organic food is on a very high level, and this is also, I think, a very positive trend. It's a little bit, when you go to these organic food shops here, it's a little bit expensive, I have to say. When you buy a banana for €5, I say, wow, that's okay. But I think this is something, when it comes to food chain, this is definitely one of the things which is partially, from my perspective, also related to ESG. I think the food chain worldwide is a little bit broken. There's very much room for improvement. I'm very happy to live now in a region where people are very aware about it and have taken action here. And our willingness to lend here is huge, because when you're in my shoes, agriculture is a very safe bet. So the risk related to it is relatively limited in the long run. Of course, not when you think about it 12 months, but when you think about it 25 years, for example, it's a very good thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, the Estonian bananas, the eco bananas are not so famous, but try the blueberries, and because in this forest, amazing stuff. And the culinary pleasures are really there. Let's talk about digitalization. What can banks or Luminor learn from PayPal, TransferWise, or Netflix?
Quite a lot. It's very interesting to see when you look at the market capitalization of the financial industry. 10 years ago, compared with today, 10 years ago, when you took the market caps of traditional banks, this was of the overall market cap of financial industry 96%. Today it's 71%. And you have 17% related to, so to say, traditional payments institutions like Visa, MasterCard. And you have 11% of market capitalization related to companies like PayPal. What banks did wrong roughly 15, 20 years ago was not understanding how online world will develop. Every banking, or every part of the banking industry built up online banking payment systems locally, not understanding that this is a global game. And there is no Amazon in Estonia, there is no Amazon in Germany. In reality, Amazon is a global company. And I think you don't need a crystal ball that's even easy to understand for a banker, that e-commerce will increase and on a very high path of growth. And of course, COVID was a booster for that, but it was clear before. And what PayPal realized 15 years ago, or I mean, look at Amazon Pay, to buy stuff in Amazon is very easy. It's more or less one click. And when it comes to banks, we have to catch up dramatically here. Given the regulatory environment we are in, we will never be able to come up with one-click solutions, but it should not be more than 3-click solutions. And I can hear you thinking about your next question. Are we as Luminor already there? No, I know it. We will work on it.
Yeah, the question is more general. Haven't you lost the game with transferring money as banks already? Yeah, or soon will? Or frame it another way, what will be staying as the core business of banks? Yeah, and this one sociologist, Dirk Becker, said it's like managing risk. Yeah, or making.
There are two topics where banks still have a competitive advantage from my perspective. The one is capital. And the other one is we are here to protect your data. This is a huge difference. I mean, companies like Amazon are very good in so to say selling your data, making kind of profit out of your data. That's very much true when it comes to Facebook and stuff like that. And they're also entering with this Libra. They're also entering the payments area. Which led to the situation that all the central banks understood that now it's serious. Now central banks want to offer digital currencies. This is, from today's perspective, from my point of view, the biggest threat to us. We are clear about the big tech companies in several years, but central banks entering now digital currencies, I don't know what will be the outcome. But coming again back to your question, there was a huge change over the last 10 years because roughly 10 years ago, European Commission came up with these PSD2 discussions, coming from an angle that banking clients are too sticky, there is not enough competition between banks, so open up, third parties, everybody can have access to your current account, blah, blah, blah. Little bit weird concept from my perspective. Then we entered the financial crisis and I got phone calls on a daily basis from European Central Bank if we are still able to wire US dollars, for example. So everybody was shocked. And is the payment system Europe-wide still working? And then it comes back to banks because we have the most stable infrastructure. And after financial crisis, GDPR hit the market, which is from an intellectual point of view quite the opposite. PSD2 is opening up everything and GDPR is, so to say, not sharing anything. And I think you will not be surprised that being a banker, I'm in strong favor of GDPR because something like banking secrecy is very much in our DNA. And I haven't seen too many models when it comes to PSD2, which are adding any kind of value to clients.
Last question on this section, and then we go into non-verbal communication. As a question comes with greetings from Ria Silave, who knows you from your time in Vienna. And she asked, you have taken the Erste Bank, a very dynamic development, like from this boring thing to a highly dynamic expansion course. You plan to do the same in Luminor?
And of course, that's the reason why I'm here. Everything else would be weird. No, when it comes to geography, we will stay within the Baltics. When it comes to growth and digital, yeah, of course.
Yeah, great. Now we enter almost last phase. I will ask you some question and you are allowed to answer, but without words. Yeah. Are you ready?
I'm a bit afraid of this.
Yeah, but you know, new bankers have to be creative, and we'll test that now. V or U-shape recovery of the Baltic region. Paint in the air.
So
V or also V oder U
okay.
shape recovery in the Baltic region. Ah, okay. Very steep even. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. The Baltic winter better than Austrian winter? Sauna better than skiing? How's the Luminor canteen? What is your solution for good work-life balance? Would Austrians come to the Baltics for holiday? And imagine you're holding, better Vienna coffee or Vanna Tallinn? Both, okay. Yeah, great, Peter. Thanks for sharing. I think you did great. We know now we've tested you. You are a creative banker. You have a strong agenda. And yeah, please, members, spread the word. Peter and Georg and all the team is here to help for your financial issues. And if you have problems, happy to write to me, email, I will forward, we will coordinate and try to make unbureaucratic solutions and see that there will be a fast track for clients which do the next projects. I have the honor to announce some of the next events. We're going to have a meeting on the 21st of April with the new, fairly new, head of the Investment and Development Agency of Latvia, Mr. Kaspar Roskans. On the 28th of April, we're going to have the new mayor of Vilnius, Mr. Šimasius. And on Friday, 7th May, please mark your calendar. We offer something very special. It's a cybersecurity training for senior executives. It's actually some kind of simulation. It's a 3 hours thing, but it's gonna have blow your mind and increase your level of cybersecurity because our last issue of our magazine was dealing with that. And thanks to a great cooperation with Konrad Adenauer Foundation, we can offer that for AHK members exclusively for free. Also, employees can participate. So even you, Luminor, if you have like 3, 4, 5 people you think that could be beneficial, register them. It's for free. It's with the Estonian provider who's working with NATO and serious things. I'm very proud. It costs a lot of money outside, and yeah, I make a big advertisement for that. 7th of May. You find it in our app and our website. Finally, I hope we are going to meet in person to the one event that brings together all the Estonians, the Latvians, Lithuanians, because you haven't found out what is the common denominator of the 3 Baltic states. I will tell you, it's beer. And so we're going to celebrate Oktoberfest, hopefully in presence this year. And I hope to see you all. And I know Peter and George, for sure you will be there. And yeah, so let's look forward. And I wish you a successful business. And I thanks for this refreshing morning coffee with you, Peter. And yeah, and you have a last word if you wish.
Well, thank you for your time. We are here for all our corporate clients. Looking forward to meet you in person.
Bye-bye. Ciao. All the best.
Thanks.
Successful week.